microphones on. And for those participating via Zoom, please state your name when making a comment so everybody knows who you are and who's actually speaking. With that, we'll begin the roll call of all members, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the Transportation Policy Committee. Please unmute and indicate if you are present. Mayor Anderson?
Here.
Thank you. Jay Bieber?
Here.
Thank you. Mayor Borowski? Councilmember Butler?
Present.
Thank you. Mayor Hermosillo?
Present.
Thank you. Doug DeCluson? Councilmember Edwards? Mayor Freeman? Vice Chair Gallego?
Here.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Garland?
Here.
Thank you. Councilmember Haney?
Here.
Thank you. Spencer Camps? Supervisor Lesko?
Here.
Thank you. Councilmember Manfredi?
Here.
Thank you. Kevin McCarthy?
Here.
Thank you. Mayor Osborne?
Present.
Thank you. Tyler Pace? Mayor Pizzillo?
Here.
Thank you. Councilmember Poston? Mark Reardon?
Here.
Thank you. Jack Sellers?
Here.
Thank you. Amma Shim?
Here.
Thank you. Chair Wires?
I'm here.
Thank you. Mayor Wheatley?
Here.
Thank you. Councilmember White?
Present.
Thank you. And Mayor Wilson?
Here.
Thank you. Is there anyone that I missed?
Mayor Freeman's here.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, we have quorum.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask everyone if they'll please stand, join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. And immediately after that, if you remain standing for a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we proceed, I'd like to welcome Mayor Alexis Hermosillo to the Transportation Policy Committee. She's appointed earlier this summer. She'll be participating this fiscal year in the rotating State Department board seat. Welcome, Alexis.
Thank you so much, Chair.
Look forward to working with you.
Likewise. Thank you.
Any cards from the call to the audience?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. We've received one written comment for call to the audience, and it's been provided to all members in advance of the meeting for consideration.
All right, thank you. MAG also provides the opportunity for members of the public to submit written comments via website, the MAG website. Any comments received 2 hours prior to the meeting have been shared with the committee members in advance of the meeting for the consideration, and they'll also be included, excuse me, in the formal meeting minutes. And we have no other speaker cards other than that.
No,
No
Mr. Chair,
online.
we
Okay,
have
very good. Thank you. Okay, items 4A through 4C are for information only. Any member of the committee have any questions or requests on a presentation on any of these items separately? Seeing and hearing none. Next on the agenda is item number 5, approval of the consent agenda. Item number 5. 5A through 5F are on the consent agenda. Any members of the committee have any questions or request presentations on any of these items? Again, seeing none and hearing none. Prior to approval of the consent agenda, there may be an opportunity for members of the public to comment on the agenda of the consent agenda. Let's do this again. Comment on any items on the consent agenda. Have we get any? I'm just having a tough time today. Have we received any requests to speak on consent agenda?
No, Mr. Chair, we have not.
Thank you. Staff, okay, you just said no, we don't have any written online, nothing. We'll move on. Is there a motion to approve consent agenda items 5A through 5F?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion approved through Mr. Osborne. Second, I believe, was through Ms. Lesko. Is that correct?
No, I don't know.
Who made the second?
Councilmember White, Avondale.
Okay. So we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. We have those participating in the meeting online take part in a voice vote by turning on their cameras and unmuting their audio. We're gonna slow down a little bit so you folks have time to do that. For those of you who cannot or do not want to turn on your cameras, staff will conduct a roll call vote. Members, please leave your cameras on until after the roll call vote, if you would, please. Can I have a voice vote for those in the room and online? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Perfect. You guys are awesome. Okay,
Get a vote from Mayor Hermosillo, please.
Yes, aye.
thank you.
Thank you.
You have to be different, don't you? Okay. Please leave your
Always.
cameras on, staff. We already have the roll call. It was unanimous. With that, we're going to move on. Flying right through this. Item number 6, item B on the agenda is for information. Discussion. It will be presented by Brian Rubin, Principal Planner.
Good morning, Chair, members of Transportation Policy Committee. I'm Brian Rubin. It's a pleasure to be here with you today to provide an update on MAG's regional truck parking study and plan. To begin with, I'd like to give a little bit of background on the project and talk about how we came to be where we are today. MAG region serves as a vital trade and destination hub. Our strategic location, combined with increasing economic activity, have led to a large demand for truck parking, which is continuing to grow. State and federal requirements, such as Jason's Law and Arizona Revised Statute 28-6352, direct MAG to consider truck parking availability when considering the construction, expansion, or modification of freeways or other routes in the state highway system. In addition to freight for local needs and for goods distributed through the region, MAG's geographic location also attracts truck drivers who are merely passing through on their way somewhere else. Our location specifically with respect to the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach makes the region very attractive for those who are passing through and approaching their daily hours of service limits, stopping here overnight before they continue on their journeys in the morning. I'm sorry. Recently completed truck plans in the region have highlighted that the existing parking infrastructure is insufficient for current and forecasted needs, and identified that inadequate truck parking is a major issue affecting the safety and efficiency of freight movement in the state. This study looks to build upon previous work with an intentional focus on addressing undesignated truck parking in the region. To help guide the project, we reached out to all of our member agencies and put together a technical advisory group. The role of the TAG was to attend meetings and workshops to provide local input on project activities and to review draft deliverables. As you can see on the screen, our project kicked off in July of 2024, currently on track to be completed late this year. The strategies and case studies memo from Task 4 is currently under review, and the recommendations and implementation plan are still to come. I'll be back to this committee early in 2026 to present on the final findings and recommendations. Next, I'd like to briefly discuss the current needs that have been identified as a part of this study. In order to measure demand, we looked at 2 common types of parking. We evaluated supply and demand at 37 identified designated truck parking facilities, and we also evaluated undesignated demand, meaning those vehicles parked on neighborhood streets, the shoulder of city or state roads, or other right-of-way, and other areas that are explicitly not allowing truck parking. After this evaluation, addressing undesignated truck parking became our primary focus. Undesignated truck parking is the type of parking that most visibly affects our communities. These trucks are noticeably parking where they shouldn't be, and it's something that everybody can see as kind of is evidenced on the picture on the right. To assess undesignated parking levels, we completed an analysis that calculated daily hours of undesignated parking by census tract. We also analyzed the number and location of crashes involving parked trucks over the last 5 years to identify the area where those most commonly concerned, or those most commonly occurred. And combined with those 2 data sets, we identified 11 truck parking zones that were determined to have the greatest need for truck parking. As you can see on the map on the screen, those areas were focused mainly around Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport, downtown Phoenix, and the I-17 and I-10 interstate corridors. We solicited feedback from truck parkers out on the road. We posted the flyer shown at numerous locations around the valley requesting feedback. And we also set up a public engagement website where people could make comments and tie them to specific locations using an integrated map feature. We also went out in the field and did in-person engagement on the mornings of December 5th and December 17th of last year. We were out between 5 a.m. and noon on those mornings, and we were out talking to truck drivers who were parked, staging, or doing maintenance on their vehicles. We briefly discussed our upcoming project and then pointed them to the survey that we were running in order to get their feedback. On the screen, you can see some of the snippets of feedback that we got from them when we were talking to them on those 2 days. We interviewed multiple MAG member agencies to discuss truck parking issues in their community. When asked which strategies would be most effective, member agency representatives noted the need for more parking spaces in some areas, along with the need for supportive policies. We also conducted interviews with private parking providers, conducted in-person engagement at the Arizona Trucking Association, and met with and surveyed several active truck drivers. Finally, I'd like to briefly touch on the next steps of this study. On the screen, you can see the strategy consolidation. We have narrowed it down to these 3 strategy areas for solutions to be recommended. We'll be specifically focusing on physical infrastructure, digital infrastructure, and enforcement and regulatory solutions.
Thank you.
Chair, members of TPC, this completes my presentation. I would like to take a moment to mention that as a part of the study, we will be holding a truck parking workshop here at MAG in this room in late October. We'll be sending out invites for all MAG member agencies, along with private sector truck parking providers, shippers, and receivers to discuss opportunities and constraints to providing truck parking and to explore opportunities for collaboration in the region. As I mentioned previously, I'll be back next year to provide the completed report and its findings for acceptance and adoption. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you have at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Rubin. Any questions?
Mr. Chair, I just want to summarize really important 3 things. Number 1, this is a requirement of state law in the bill passed by the legislature authorizing Prop 479. There's a requirement that we spend $90 million in the next 20 years on this issue of truck parking. So what Brian is doing is a precursor to making sure that we follow the law as passed. But then, of course, this is an issue for the businesses, the warehousing that's in your communities, and the truck drivers individually. And then third, the neighbors that you hear from as those of you who are elected officials who are concerned about the impact of truck parking. So trying to bring that all together here in this, and Brian is delivering that first step, which is so important. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And this is only going to get worse. We have to do something about it. The sheer amount of traffic. In my before life, a long time ago, I actually drove truck. And then in between driving truck and what I do now, I actually was reserved for Department of Public Safety. And one of the biggest things I noticed frequently in the morning, early morning, especially in the wintertime, that I would have trucks parked on the interstates going eastbound, and people frequently would be trying to travel eastbound, and you could not see that truck sitting there often until you were on top of it. It's very dangerous. So something that we have to act on. The quicker we do it, the safer everybody is. Lives will be saved by acting upon this. But if you haven't got a clue how difficult of an issue this is, get with the Trucking Association. Ask them to take you out for a couple hours and just drive around in a semi and find out exactly how difficult it is for these drivers to find places to park. I mean, it's not easy, very difficult, and it's only more and more trucks as this keeps going on. So I'm glad we're getting somewhere. You have a question? Go ahead, sir.
Chairman, Brian, is the taxpayer support for this for truck parking common nationally, and if so, are we looking to see what other states do in that regard?
Truck parking requirements and studies like these are required nationally, both by DOTs and MPOs serving those regions. I can't personally speak to the level of investment that other states are making. However, when we did talk to peer agencies ahead of this project, truck parking is a known problem that is only growing. And while very many regions acknowledge this problem, very few of them have actually put forth plans that address and have made a difference. So we're certainly kind of charting new ground in a sense there. But as Mr. Zerker mentioned, these are real dollars that have been identified that will be directed to making a difference here in the MAG region.
And Mr. Chair, Mr. McCarthy, what we can do is follow up here is just do a quick survey and see, ask that question of some of our peers to find out if anybody has anything like this. We can do a quick review and see if that is the case.
Mr. Wilson.
You know, two questions. Number one, when in October are you planning to have that meeting here?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Wilson, members of the committee. I have it tentatively penciled in on the morning of October 28th from 9:30 to 11:30. I need to make sure everything is good with our consultants, and we will hopefully be sending out notification to everybody by the end of this week.
Okay. And then you had mentioned the aspects of, I'll say, illegal parking where it's been shown that it's illegal. What about just general parking alongside streets that there's no, I'm going to say no law that has said that, though the people in the neighborhood are totally against it and have filed complaints with the city?
Yeah, this is a common problem across all of our communities here in the region. Different cities and different communities have decided to handle things a little bit differently. Some allow truck parking on some of their non-main arterials on the side of the road. The city of Surprise, for example, has outlined 3 arterials in their region that do allow parking on the side of the road in an effort to get them off of neighborhood streets. But oftentimes we're faced with a situation where we're literally just kind of chasing our tails, where we'll put signs up and they'll move from that location to another location where we haven't put signs up. Or they come in with the realization that by the time someone who could enforce them not parking there is actually notified and comes out, they're going to be long gone anyway. So that's less of a concern for people who their livelihood depends on whether they can get to their next delivery and get on the road, right? So
are we including their inputs as well into this?
absolutely. No, we've spoken to truck drivers individually. We've spoken to developers and shippers and receivers in the area. One of our main recommendations will be to indicate parking or to potentially implement parking requirements for new developments, but to potentially incentivize developers for including parking above and beyond the needs of their individual company or business, where they might be able to provide, overflow parking for others. We're certainly looking into, all solutions that we can look at to effectively kind of get this problem off of neighborhood streets and off of dangerous areas and where they are supposed to be.
Yeah. Okay. One of the statements in there I saw was the East Valley. Unfortunately, my oldest son is a over the road truck driver. And when he comes to visit us, it's extremely hard to find a place to park it anywhere in the East Valley.
Absolutely.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, we had this challenge in Surprise, and thankfully staff was able to navigate it, and we worked with members of the trucking industry because we didn't want those folks to feel alienated, because obviously they're a vital part of how we get our goods. And if people stop shopping on Amazon and all that other stuff, then we would have less trucks that need parking, but that's just not the reality. And so what we did is we did identify some pieces of land that trucks were able to park. One of the challenges with that is it's still very limited with the parking. And what we realized pretty quickly is, and this is why I'm glad to see this presentation, is it really is going to take a regional approach. I think a public-private partnership would be great, because what we found is if we had certain pieces of land that we identified to allow trucks to park, we were getting flooded with trucks because other jurisdictions weren't allowing that. And so I think the conversation for it to be kind of a regional effort is really important. And so I look forward to seeing kind of where this goes in the future. And it's very encouraging to see that we're engaging all of the folks that are impacted by this, including members of the trucking industry, to get to a solution. So thank you.
Thank you very much for that comment. I would like to add that, to your point, when it comes to regulatory or enforcement solutions, collaboration is going to be imperative, because if you're doing something on one side of the road but you're not on the other, that's not going to help anybody. So thank you for your comment.
Yeah, and one final thought. I brought this up when we first talked about this quite a while ago. I would hope that because of a federal law that is forcing the drivers to actually have to park their trucks sooner than they used to, and the fact that the state is really enforcing it, we have opportunities with excess state land and county lands that, quite honestly, a lot of times aren't worth anything other than the opportunity that if we can get the state and the counties to work to save money where we can have maybe more places across the valley instead of try to find 3 or 4 places only. I don't want to have 10,000 trucks in one area. I'd like them spread out everywhere. It's less traffic congestion, but we need to get the state to step up and say, hey, we got land available for the cause and of everybody. The best possible scenario is be able to get some of that state land for a reduced price or free to make that $90 million stretch further. So I'm hoping that we work that angle also.
Well, we haven't gotten to that part of the study yet, Chair Wires. We have been in contact with both ADOT and Maricopa County Flood Control about potentially using some of their available drainage parcels that could theoretically be retrofitted for parking. So we
Great.
certainly are having those conversations.
Great. I'm still pretty financially conservative, so, or my wife calls me cheap, however you want to look at it. All right.
Chair Wires, this is Councilmember White from the city of Avondale. I just wanted to share with the body that we do have some truck parking out in Avondale. It's closer to all of our hotel complexes. What we realized in working with the hospitality industry and the trucking industry, that oftentimes truck drivers, as they are meeting their federal requirements to take a rest and take a break, they go to check in and spend a night in a hotel, but there's no parking around where they're going to sleep. So I just wanted to let you know that private-public partnership is very important. And one of our council members does work for the hotel industry and made definitely a plea to ensure that we can get parking spaces close to spaces where our truck drivers would be sleeping. So, and we also have a truck stop here in the city of Avondale. The only thing that I would ask of Brian, Chair, is that as the study continues, that we map out actual truck routes for the truck drivers to get to these truck parking spaces. Because what we can't afford is the infrastructure of our roads being used for heavyweight trucks when they're not intended for that use, and making a truck driver drive into a location through possibly a residential space to get to truck parking. So we want to keep the trucks on the roads that can support them. And we definitely don't want to prevent the growth of industry and slow commerce down by not having proper places for them to park. So in this study, I just ask that, Chair, if we can have routes of appropriate truck routes for them to get to the truck parking that we intend to provide with the $90 million that's going to be assigned to this line item from Prop 479. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Very much.
Thank you. So there is no action required on this, so we're going to proceed to item number 7.
Sure.
This item on the agenda is for information and also for discussion. Is going to be presented by Hannah Quincy, Senior Transportation Plan. Hope I pronounced that right.
You did. Indeed.
Perfect.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair and members of the Transportation Policy Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to provide an update on the Superstition Vistas Multimodal Transportation Planning Study. In this presentation, I will highlight the study's progress, illustrating the area's growth and how we can mitigate existing transportation constraints with a vision for future transportation network in this fast-growing subregion. The Superstition Vistas study area spans roughly 287 square miles within the city of Apache Junction, the town of Florence, the city of Mesa, the town of Queen Creek, and Maricopa and Pinal counties, with land managed by the Arizona State Land Department and sitting adjacent to the Gila River Indian community. I also want to highlight that the study area now includes the newly incorporated town of Santan. The study has followed a data-driven planning process to assess and develop recommendations for multimodal near-term and long-range transportation networks that support the area's population and employment growth. Throughout the study, we've taken direct direction from the study area's agencies through a technical advisory group and sought input from stakeholders and members of the public. To illustrate the growth in the Superstition Vistas study area, I will walk you through a series of current and forecasted socioeconomic condition snapshots, with the darker colors representing higher densities of population and employment, which today, as you can see, are concentrated in the western portions of the study area. Shown on your screen here is existing population. MAG forecasts that population will grow 70% in the study area over the next 25 years. By 2030, you see the color orange darken, representing a densification of population, and by 2050, population continues to densify and spread and expand to the east. Now shown on your screen is existing employment density. By 2030, the purple color darkens and spreads across the study area, signaling growing and densifying employment, especially along key transportation corridors and planned investments. And by 2050, MAG projects that employment will grow 152%. Traffic volumes will grow as well between now and 2050. The darker and redder lines shown here are the corridors with the highest traffic volumes today. And by 2030, traffic volumes will continue to grow. By 2050, key corridors are experiencing major mobility constraints, including traffic congestion, limited capacity of existing roadways, and gaps in the roadway grid. Our study team developed recommended multimodal transportation networks for 2030 and 2050 horizons, with projects sourced from a combination of MAG's regional investment plan, local capital improvement programs, and adopted plans, as well as new recommendations identified through the study's network stress testing scenarios. The cornerstone of these networks are the recommended roadway and intersection improvements. The 2030 and 2050 roadway networks include 136 new or widened roadway projects and 33 new operational intersection improvements. Shown here on your screen, the 2030 network addresses current rapid development pressures in the western portions of the study area by expanding existing roadway capacities and closing key connectivity gaps in the grid network. The map's orange lines represent roadway widening projects, and the green lines are new roadway construction. Intersection enhancements are shown as dots on the screen. Were also identified to improve traffic flow and mitigate localized congestion. You'll see a focus on widening and expanding both east-west and north-south arterials, particularly where growth is most concentrated. Many of these projects address congestion hotspots along corridors like Hunt Highway, Ironwood Drive, Ellsworth Road, and Germain Road, which are already operating near capacity. To support future development, especially east of the Central Arizona Project Canal, the 2050 network adds several new east-west and north-south roadway corridors to complete the grid network and to complete new access points to the US 60. The networks close key roadway gaps, for example, completing missing segments along Meridian Road and extending Southern Avenue to improve east-west connectivity in the city of Apache Junction. The recommended networks also include a total of 12 distinct freeway projects, as shown on your screen, to enhance regional mobility and support freight travel, including critical improvements to the State Route 24 and the future north-south corridor. By 2030, for example, State Route 24 is planned to be converted to a full freeway with grade-separated interchanges to alleviate pressures on surrounding arterials. The recommended networks include 199 non-motorized projects as well. The dotted lines on these maps show new multi-use paths, bike lanes, safer crossings, and trail connections for the 2030 on-street, 2030 off-street, and 2050 off-street facilities. The recommendations also include long-range fixed route transit extensions, including the extensions of the Route 108 in Mesa and the routes 156 or 184 into Queen Creek. The recommendations include preferred freight corridors as well, shown here as dashed lines on your map, that support continued industrial growth, including the Pecos Industrial Rail Access and Train Extension, known as the Pirate Spur, and connections to the Union Pacific Main Line. Strategic planning for freight is essential, as we've discussed, as developments expand, like the LG Energy Facility circled here on the map, and the Elliott Road Tech Corridor circled here on the map. Recently, our study team reached consensus on the recommended networks with our technical advisory group and held stakeholder and public review of these preliminary recommendations. The team is currently finalizing the recommended networks and developing a final report, which will include an implementation and funding strategy. We anticipate bringing the final plan to MAG policy committees for acceptance later this. In closing, I want to again emphasize that the Superstition Vistas is one of Arizona's fastest growing subregions. The study provides a forward-looking, data-informed framework to keep residents moving and to help our member agencies respond to growth that is coordinated with multimodal transportation solutions. We appreciate our member agencies' continued guidance and support as we move toward a final plan that reflects both regional priorities and your local needs. Thank you, Chair and members of the Transportation Policy Committee. That concludes my presentation, and I will be available for any questions.
Thank you, Chair. Just a question and maybe a clarification. I'm sure I know we're doing these in the entire region, studies like this, but the study identifies the amount of growth that is coming in, the necessary infrastructure, but there's no funding mechanism for any of this yet, or maybe some of these individual projects are captured in the 479 plan, but the majority of what you're showing is not captured in that.
Thank you for the question, Chair and members of the committee. What we're showing here in the recommended networks is actually a combination of those projects that are already planned and programmed in your local capital improvement programs, projects that have been identified in adopted plans that may or may not have been programmed already, projects that are in the MAG's regional investment plan, as well as new projects that were identified based on the need from the stress testing that we did, looking at the future growth and how that growth would impact traffic congestion. So there's really a combination of funded and unfunded. You can think about this study as a tool to help your city in the future prioritize projects for funding in your capital investment programs as you move towards 2030 and looking towards your long range 2050 horizon as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's really good for the public to understand that we are thinking ahead in putting these lines on the map that are really driven by the data of what growth is coming our way. And there are some funding mechanisms for that, but much of this is going to come when the growth comes. And actually, it's probably 6 months or 2 years after the growth comes, so that we get everybody riled up with traffic and then fix it. But there are so many infrastructure needs and just not enough funding to go around to these different things. So it's on the map. It's delineated as these are the different infrastructure items that we need, but funding remains kind of to be determined down the road. And I think just important, we keep telling our public this in our region. We know exactly where the roads need to go. We just don't have all the funding for it. And some of that comes as growth comes. Some of it comes with Prop 479 funds, and some of it is local bonding or capital improvement projects moving forward. And then who knows, maybe there's other funding mechanisms that come into it. But just important to keep all that in perspective. So thank you very much for the presentation.
That's a point well made, Mayor Osborne. Hannah, would you go back to that slide that had the State Route 24 on it? And I think where you showed the build out of the 24 there. So this adds another complicator. So what you identified is right. This plan that Hannah's working on with the community, it's going to help the state land department. It's going to help the cities and the counties identify, as you said, we know where the roads are going to go. Now they're going to have to come up with the funding. But this area actually has a little more complication to it, and Mayor Wilson can probably attest to it, in that it is largely in Pinal County, or I should say the part that is in Pinal County does not have the access to a Prop 479 in the way in the Maricopa County portion does. And State Route 24 is a good example of that. As Hannah noted, that State Route 24 completion to a full freeway to Ironwood Road is in the first phase of the freeway system. 479 is funded, but everything beyond that, where you see it gets purple and beyond, that is going to be up to Pinal County and the Arizona Department of Transportation and the state legislature to figure out how to fund that and build that. And there's no money for that right now. So there's even another layer compared to in your part of the valley, that 479 is not available outside of that dashed line that Hannah has on the map.
Mr. Bieber online.
Yes, thank you. I had a question about State Route 24. About a little over a year ago, I reached out to ADOT having to do with the fact that this roadway operates as, for all intents and purposes, the section that's been built out as a controlled access highway. They had a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit on that road, and basically no one's going 45 on but what is effectively a controlled access highway. I didn't know if Hannah knows. They had told me at the time that they were going to do a speed study and they were going to try to raise it to maybe 55 or whatever. Do you happen to know where that resides right now with regards to any of that?
Chair and members of the, I don't know the status of that ADOT study, but we would be happy to get in touch and provide that information.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go to Mr. Sellers next, and then Mr. Friedman after that.
Yeah, Ed already covered a lot of what I wanted to talk about, but certainly the success of this plan depends a lot on Pinal County. And I guess my question is, how involved were they in the planning portion of what we did here at MAG?
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee, Representative Sellers. So Pinal County is a member of our technical advisory group, and they have been involved throughout the entire development of this study. As TAG members, they have provided review and input on key deliverables, such as the recommended networks. And at the sort of really outset of this project, we presented an update of what we had scoped for this project to the Pinal County Board of Supervisors as well as providing updates at certain milestones to Supervisor Goodman as well.
Certainly a lot of the traffic impact is on Maricopa County, but nevertheless, it really requires a lot of effort on their part for it to be successful. Thank you.
Mayor Friedman.
Thank you, Chair. I can speak for most of the East Valley mayors. We're at capacity now on our roadways. And I thank Hannah for identifying that, because as we do economic development out in the East Valley, I know the West Valley, both of us are competitive with the dollars that Mayor Osborne talked about. But with that, I want to make sure that during this study that multimodal components are a part of the process and study area, because Mesa, we're trying to increase multimodal opportunities along with the expansion of all the roadway construction that we're doing today and in the future. So with that, I think this is a no-brainer when I looked at the population forecast, the employment forecast, the major job centers, the dwelling units, the increase in traffic. Why aren't we building this today? Let's stop the study and let's get going. So I'll just end with that. Thank you, Chair.
All right. Any other comments? Go ahead, Mr. Wilson.
I just wanted to ask a question. At US 60, and I think it's 87, that goes down to Florence over there. There's a discussion of putting in was it around a 1,500 acre solar facilities? Have you been notified of that? Know about it? How it's going to affect everything?
Chair and members of the committee, I'm not familiar with the solar facility, but we have engaged, the energy providers, a lot of utility and service providers in the region at the outset of this project as stakeholders to understand what the upcoming plans for infrastructure improvements in the study area, specifically the solar farm, not aware of that, but we will certainly, before the study concludes, we will look into what those plans are and see how it may or may not affect any of the recommendations that we have laid out.
Well, there's I'll say a information meeting in Gold Canyon today, starting, I think it was at 5:30 in the aspect which I plan to be at. So I'll try to get you some information if you want.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
If nothing else, maybe they'll be thinking about truck parking at the time, right? Well, okay. All right. Very good.
Mayor Wires.
Go ahead.
It's Mayor Wheatley from Queen Creek here. I just wanted to chime in and say how much I appreciate this update of this study. As we know, nothing happens without the initial plan. And while we continue to work on funding, I'm just so happy to see this update. And I'm glad that it was mentioned, the newly incorporated city of Santan Valley. And they actually just appointed their inaugural town council today. So looking forward to having another regional partner in that area to continue to make these plans and identify funding and move forward together.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. No votes required, no action. So I want to thank you, but we're going to go ahead and proceed to item number 8. Item on the agenda, again, is for information and discussion only. It'll be presented by Kirsten Houston, Principal Engineer. You smiled when I said that. Did I say it wrong?
I'll let you know. Coming up. Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I'm Kirsten Houston, a freeway engineer here at MAG, and I'm here to provide an update on the Loop 101 and Loop 202 bottleneck study. So the study area here, we're looking at a map of the region. Our study area is in the blue lines at where Loop 202 and Loop 101 intersect. Zooming in a little bit more, you can see we're at the Loop 202 Red Mountain Freeway from Priest Drive to just east of Dobson Road. And the Loop 101 Price Freeway from McKellips Road to the US 60. This project crosses over the cities of Tempe and Mesa, as well as the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian Community and Maricopa County, Tempe Town Lake, and the Salt River. Adjacent to the project is the cities of Phoenix and Scottsdale. So in addition to our partner agencies, we're working with our regional and federal partners on this project. The study overview, we are doing a corridor planning study. This is where we're addressing issues affecting safety, operations, and access. We're assessing current and future conditions, safety hazards, and assessing the public's priorities. With our findings, we will find solutions and an execution plan. We started this last winter, and we plan to be completed in the spring of 2027. Looking at the schedule, we are currently in the data collection phase. One of the data sets we've gotten so far are the daily traffic volumes. So west of the interchange on Loop 202 and north of the interchange on Loop 101, we have about 250,000 to 260,000 vehicles per day. Now that is comparable to traffic on the I-17 from the 10 to the 101, Loop 101. East of the interchange on Loop 202, there's 169,000 vehicles per day. That's comparable to traffic on State Route 51. And lastly, south of the interchange on Loop 101, we have 307,000 vehicles per day. That is comparable to the Broadway curve, believe it or not. There's that much traffic in this area. In the future, in 2050, it's projected will increase by 11 to 22%. This, of course, is only going to exacerbate and increase the issues that are happening now. So the purpose of the study, we want to define a series of improvements that will improve safety, enhance traffic operations, and improve access to and from areas of the region. So one of our goals is to improve safety. This is a hotspot map of the area. So the last 5 years of traffic data from 2019 to 2024 is this data here. Areas in blue we have less than 35 vehicular crashes. And in areas in bright yellow, we have more than 1,200 crashes in those areas. We attribute these to lane drops and weaving in the corridor. There's 11 lane drop locations and 11 weaving locations. There's a total of over 8,000 crashes in the last 5 years. That averages 4 crashes a day. So if you drive this corridor, you know that there's a lot of crashes. So the lane drops, this is the location of all the lane drops. There's 11 of them. This simulation here shows what a lane drop looks like. It's where a lane ends and drivers must merge into an adjacent lane while other drivers must allow those drivers to merge. Causes a lot of conflict. On the same map, there are 11 merging locations, and the simulation shows where vehicles are both entering and exiting the freeway, making one or more lane changes to get to their, to position themselves appropriately to get to their destination. With this study, we want to reduce the conflict points and improve safety. Another goal of the project is to enhance operations. So going back to the hotspot map, I'm going to take you just east of one of the hotspot areas. This is on the 202. We're looking east. So a lot of the traffic here is headed eastbound. The 3 rightmost lanes are all exiting the freeway onto 101. What this picture doesn't show is that is cars merging onto the freeway from Scottsdale Road, some of which are merging over 3 lanes of traffic to get to the through lanes. So it's just another area with conflict and weaving. Another photograph, I'll take you to the 101. This is looking north, but most of those cars you see are southbound. In the corner, all those vehicles that are merging onto the freeway are coming on from the 202. There's a lane drop almost right after that. And then you have vehicles coming on from University Drive. So this is a hotspot area, lots of crashes, lots of conflict, lots of safety issues. Going a little further down, this is on the 101 again, southbound. We are looking south, and most of the vehicles are going south. On the rightmost lanes, again, there's 3 lanes of traffic that are all exiting. If you see the vehicles entering the freeway, those are coming on from Broadway Road. A lot of them are crossing the 3 exit lanes to get into the through lanes. So another area with safety issues and weaving. So these lane changes cause braking, which causes slowing, which increases our our crash risk. So we're analyzing these patterns to prioritize smoother, safer movements. So another goal of the study is to improve regional access. This is a Google typical traffic Google typical traffic map. This is a Wednesday at 8 a.m. And you can see our project here is outlined in the blue. Slow traffic is headed northbound on the 101 and westbound on the 202. And then transitioning to the PM hour, we have slow traffic going southbound on the 101. So in addition to the cities we already mentioned, the agencies we already mentioned, we have Chandler and Gilbert that use this corridor quite frequently. We're going, everyone in the area, travels to Sky Harbor and back, Phoenix, Scottsdale, to the West Valley, to destinations to the east. And what this shows us that this corridor is regionally significant to our overall connectivity. Glancing at the study schedule again, we are in the data collection phase. Part of that, a really important part of that phase is to get out to the public and get the public's feedback. So we are holding a virtual public meeting on October 15th. It'll be at 6 p.m. We want to collect feedback on existing conditions and safety concerns, capture different viewpoints from around the area, and get the public, provide ways for the public to stay informed and to give us their input. We will have a second public meeting in the fall in person next year. So we do have a website right now. This is live. It provides updates to the public meeting. You can get email updates. It has a fact sheet in English and Spanish. On the website, closer to the meeting date, we're going to have a social pinpoint survey. And this is kind of cool. You can put a mark on a map, a location-specific point on a map where people can provide comments voicing their concerns, where they've had issues, and then even provide us suggestions. So a call to action to you all is to provide this information to your populace. That we have the website information there. You can also go to the QR code. The QR code gets us directly to the website with all the information on the public meeting and the survey. It's very important to get the public feedback. We want to get as much as we possibly can. So one last look at the study schedule. We are going to wrap out our data collection phase after we get all of the public feedback in. After that, we will have developed alternatives this next spring. In the summer, we'll have our initial recommendations. Next fall, we'll have an implementation plan. And then in the spring of 2027, we'll have our final report. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, that concludes my update on the bottleneck study. And thank you for your time and continued partnership. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Go ahead, sir.
Give me a hint. Things like this is travels in the country is a problem in every city. You can't build freeways with ingress and egress, but these challenges, what might one of the recommendations?
So we're not quite there yet, but we're looking at collector distributor roads, braided ramps. Those are kind of the higher dollar items, improvements that we could make. The lower dollar ones could be ramp modifications, lane width modifications, adjust the striping. That's what we're looking at, all options. Thank you for your question, Mr. Chair and members of the committee.
Any other questions?
Yeah. What time on October 15th is this going to be?
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, the meeting is at 6 p.m.
Kirsten, how will our member agencies be notified of that specific virtual public meeting if they want to get that out to their community?
So I know we're working with communications to work with our agencies, community relations.
So you all will get notice of that through your staff to be able to distribute it to your residents.
Okay.
All right, very good. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee.
Okay. With that, we're moving on to item number 9, everybody's favorite freeway life cycle program.
Good afternoon, Chair Wires and members of the Transportation Policy Committee. My name is Velvet Matthew. I'm the Freeway Engineer Manager, and I'm here to present the construction status updates for the Freeway Lifecycle Program projects. Now, these projects were identified and funded as part of the program, and they are at various stages of action. I will start with a map to show you where these projects are in the region. Later, I will go into more detail about each project. So first, here are projects in the green, are projects that are currently under construction. And I'm sure many of you are well aware of these projects. Next, we have the projects in blue. These are projects that will start construction before the end of this calendar year. And the projects in yellow are projects that will start construction in early calendar 2026. So I'll go into a little more detail. First, we'll start with the projects that are currently under construction. So these 3 projects actually have one thing in common besides delaying your daily commutes. These projects all will be adding capacity. They will all be adding general purpose lanes And all these projects were planned to be widened as travel demand or traffic demand has increased in these areas. So first, we have the Loop 101 Pima from Princess Drive to Shea Boulevard. This project is located in the Northeast Valley in the city of Scottsdale. This project will add one general purpose lane in each direction. Construction started in the spring of 2024. In addition to the general purpose lane, I'd like to point out that the Frank Lloyd Wright intersection has been converted to a diamond configuration. Now, this project is approximately 83% complete, and it is anticipated to be finished by the end of this calendar year. Here's some pictures of the construction activities out there. The picture on the left is the early milling of the rubberized asphalt. This allowed for the shifting of traffic during construction. On the right is the construction of the Frank Lloyd Wright bridges. On the left is the construction of the general purpose lane for the eastbound 101 at Bell Road. And on the right are the finished bridges at Princess Drive. Next, we have the Loop 202 Santan from the Loop 101 Price to Val Vista Drive. This project is located in the Southeast Valley in the cities of Chandler and Gilbert. This project will construct two general purpose lanes between 101 and Gilbert Road, and one general purpose lane in each direction between Gilbert Road and Val Vista Drive. Construction started in the summer of 2024, and with the construction of the general purpose lanes, all the overpass bridges will have to be widened as well as their associated ramps. This project is approximately 43% complete, and construction is anticipated to be finished in the spring of 2027. Now, here are pictures of the Arizona Avenue ramp construction. It actually crosses over the Union Pacific Railroad. Oops, sorry. And here are pictures of the construction of Arizona Avenue, the overpass. On the left are the piers for that bridge, as well as in the middle, there's the placement of the girder. This is actually one of 12 girders that had to be placed for the widening on the north side. On the right is a picture of the concrete deck pour that was required for the Arizona Avenue ramp, which I showed you in the previous slide. Next is the Loop 101 Agua Fria from 75th Avenue to I-10. This project is located in the Northwest Valley in the cities of Glendale and Phoenix. This project would add one general purpose lane in each direction, and construction started in the fall of 2024. In addition to the general purpose lanes, there will be a third left turn lane constructed for 75th Avenue southbound to the Loop 101 eastbound movement. In addition, there will be bridge widenings at 51st, 35th, and 31st Avenue. Project is approximately 36% complete, and construction is anticipated to be finished in the spring of 2027. Here is some pictures of the nighttime activities, such as the drilling of the piers, as well as the installation of that massive rebar cage for that pier. On the right is some camera detection that's being installed as part of the project. Next, I'd like to talk about the projects that will start construction before the end of this calendar year. Now, these three projects also have one thing in common. These are all minor improvement projects that the Transportation Policy Committee approved within this last year. As a reminder, minor improvement projects are smaller cost projects with very specific improvements that can be implemented quickly. First, we have the I-17 Sonoran Desert Drive, the northbound off-ramp. This is located in the North Valley, with the construction of TSMC's fabrication plant near this area that has created It's significant demand in the traffic out there and has caused bottlenecks along I-17. So this project will widen that exit ramp to a 2-lane exit ramp in order to help alleviate congestion on I-17. I'd like to note that this project will start construction as well as complete construction before the future system interchange that is scheduled to be constructed in early 2026. Next, we have the Loop 303 Grand Avenue TI, the next phase interim improvements project. This is located in the Northwest Valley. And for those of you who are aware of this area, you know that ADOT recently completed the near-term improvements project, with final striping just having been installed a few weeks ago. So this next phase improvement will build upon that project. It will widen some ramps as well as install some signals and some lighting out there. Sorry about that. And next we have the Loop 101 Pima, the State Route 51 southbound ramp. This is located in the Northeast Valley. The Loop 101 is experiencing bottlenecks in this area, so this project will widen and create a 2-lane ramp for the east to south movement. This project actually did just start construction just a couple of weeks ago, and it is anticipated to take 11 months to finish. And next, I'd like to talk about the projects that will start construction in early 2026. I'll start in the Southwest Valley. We have the Loop 303 MC85 to Van Buren Street. This project will construct a new freeway by extending Loop 303 south from Van Buren Street to an interim connection at MC85. In the future, Loop 303 will connect to State Route 30 to the east. Also in the Southwest Valley, we have the Loop 101 at I-10, the 91st Avenue connector. This will construct the direct high occupancy vehicle, or better known as direct or DHOV ramps, that will go from the 101 median to the I-10 median to the east. The DHOV ramps will address the south to east and the west to north movements. In the Central Valley, we have State Route 51, I-10 to Shea Boulevard. This is a diamond grind project that will remove the rubberized asphalt as well as repair some of the slabs within the project limits. And I'd like to say we have our first Prop 479 construction project. Yay. This is the Loop 303 I-17 to 51st Avenue. This project will construct the new system interchange between 303 and I-17, as well as construct one general purpose lane in both directions on the Loop 303. And next to that, we have another Prop 479 project. It's the Loop 303 Lake Pleasant Parkway to 51st Avenue. This will construct one additional general purpose lane in both directions along Loop 303. And the construction of this project will be coordinated and offset from the new system interchange in order to have a seamless connection at 51st Avenue.
I would just add that on that 303 I-17 to 51st Avenue, since that will be the literal and symbolic start of Prop 479, we are working with ADOT to have sort of a more than usual event for the groundbreaking, so that there's an opportunity for the TPC and the Regional Council to celebrate the fact that 479 is underway on the freeway program. That'll be later this winter.
So as you can see, we have a lot of construction that is underway, but many more projects that will start over the next few years. And it is nice to see that all our efforts collectively are paying off, though I know we will probably feeling a little pain over the next few years. So with that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to take any questions.
All right. Thank you, Velvet. Questions?
Yeah, Chair. Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you for the tour around the valley. I really appreciate that. Looking at the projects on the map and then the pictures are worth 1,000 words. There is a lot of work that is going on, and really appreciate showcasing some of the action shots so we can have some appreciation for what's happening. You're right. I think I've been held up in several of those, if not all of those locations.
Fortunately.
Question on the, I think this falls in the very early 2026, but the Jackrabbit Trail interchange and the timing on that, or why it didn't end up on the map.
So Mr. Chair and members of the Transportation Policy Committee, shown here are projects that will actually start physical construction in early 2026. Jackrabbit and the I-10 widening are going to be a little after that. So they just didn't make the cut this time, but they are on their way to being delivered.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Velvet. We'll go ahead and proceed on to item number 10, legislative update. Samantha Kluklak.
Mr. Chair,
Staff.
given that the legislature is not in session, we are not going to have a legislative update today. And I think
So we're all
that's
blessed
a
today.
good thing.
Okay.
That's right.
All right, proceeding on to item number 11. Any requests from the membership for items on the future agenda?
Through the chair. Hello, Phoenix Mayor Kate Gago. I would be interested in an update on Interstate 11, which is the proposed corridor that connects our region to Las Vegas. Much of the construction is outside of our region, but I think it is important to our region. So if others are interested. And then some of our peers in other cities like Houston and Miami have done advanced aviation plans, particularly for some new corridors as technology changes away from the big passenger planes we are used to. And I know from Glendale to Mesa, we have some of the top companies in the world in our community. I believe Goodyear is training some pilots both on the ground and in the air that will use this technology. And so if others are interested in having a discussion about that type of a regional plan for some of the key corridors, just wanted to throw that out there if others are interested. We have done a plan at Sky Harbor, which we'd be happy to share, but so much of the airspace is outside of Phoenix. So is that of interest to others? Or all right, we got a yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any comments or announcements from any of the membership? Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I would like Meg's help on the proposed BNSF railway project. My concern, and I need some expertise. I've been working with McDOT and ADOT, but Meg probably has staff that can help me as well. My concern is that they project close to 23,000 added vehicles per day by 2050. And I'm concerned that there will be trucks and vehicles lined up along Grand Avenue and up and down the 303 backed up. And so I'm kind of wondering how long these projects take to get done. So let's say BNSF gets in there and starts this project. How long would it realistically be before we could add another lane on Grand Avenue going both ways and do a new interchange on a 303 and Highway 60? I would appreciate some help. I don't know if that would be a future agenda item or not, or just staff could talk to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Supervisor Lesko, yes, we'll have staff talk to you. We have been working with ADOT and MacDOT, but we'll be happy to sit down with you and walk you through what we know and figure out what we don't and how we get that information.
Anyone else? Okay, the next meeting on the Transportation Policy Committee will be Wednesday, October 15 at 11:30 a.m. Before I adjourn, there are a couple fresh faces that have not been here, and we didn't introduce them. And so if we could just very quickly, if you're new on this committee, if you'd introduce yourself, I'd appreciate it.
Chip Wilson, City of Apache Junction.
Okay. Anyone else? We lose everybody online? Okay. Okay. With that, I do have one final comment that I do want to bring up. This Sunday, I'm sure if you haven't been under a rock, you realize that there's a large event happening at the stadium in Glendale, the event for Charlie Kirk. We were asked less than a week ago to put on an event as big as the Super Bowl. My city, working with Phoenix and some other jurisdictions, we got our hands full. We really have our hands full. If you're planning on going to that, I would advise everybody be patient, go early. They're going to open the doors at 8. I believe the event starts at 11. I would highly encourage you to get there much before 8 o'clock. Again, the numbers are larger than a Super Bowl. We've been asked to put this thing together in about 10 days, and between Mayor of Phoenix Police Department, Glendale's Police Department, and some other agencies, they got their hands full. They really do. But we're going to do what we always do. We're going to come through. We're going to represent Arizona very well, and hopefully everybody will keep calm and we won't have any major issues. But with that said, no, I can't get you in special seating. I've had probably 10,000 requests already. They're keeping it close to their chest what they're doing. The POTUS, the Vice POTUS, and I believe the Secretary of War are all supposed to be there also. So this is a very, very, very large event. With that, I really hope that calm heads prevail. I really do. So with that, if there's nothing else from the committee, thank you all for being here. I hope everybody has a great weekend and be safe. Thank you. We're adjourned.